Welcome to the Pearson Test of English, also known as PTE. In this video, we shall be addressing essay writing. The kind of essay that I shall be discussing today is advantages and disadvantages. But first, let us look at the most important factors that determine how well you've written. This can be summed up in the criteria. The first criteria is content. For this, you have to make sure that whatever you write is relevant to the topic given. The highest marks that you can score for this is 3. The next criteria is form, which basically looks at the organization and the layout of the essay. You are allotted 2 marks for this. The next criteria is development, structure and coherence. 3 components that are extremely important for you to address your topic in a very structured manner. This will enable the examiner to understand what you are trying to say, whether the words you are using and how you are connecting those words to bring out the meaning of the essay. Most importantly, this will determine what kind of message you are trying to portray. The next criteria is extremely important, that is grammar. This consists of everything from tenses to articles, prepositions, nouns, pronouns, adjectives, etc. Most importantly, you must make sure that your sentence structures are correct. You must use a combination of simple as well as complex sentences. The next criteria is general linguistic range. This basically checks the extent to which you can utilize language to properly express or put across the message your essay is trying to give. The next criteria is spelling. In essay writing, in fact in any kind of writing, spelling is extremely important. Incorrect spellings will definitely affect your overall score. You will definitely lose marks. Finally, vocabulary range. This determines the level at which you stand in terms of vocabulary. Your vocabulary could either be simple or it could be complex. But what is more important here is that the vocabulary should fit the kind of task or topic given to you. So except for content, all other criteria have got 2 marks each. So here is a description of the essay and the basic features. Firstly, you will notice that the length requirement is between 200 to 300 words. Remember that development, structure and coherence is extremely important, as this basically checks how you organize your ideas. You must precisely convey your ideas using correct grammar, vocabulary and spelling. Now, here are a few things that you must bear in mind when it comes to evaluation and the possibility of getting a 0 under certain conditions. So the essay is not evaluated and given a 0 right away if the response is totally irrelevant to the prompt. This basically means that you have not understood the topic and you have completely digressed from what was originally asked. The next point is the response is written in any language other than English. If you think that you can put in another language or there are certain words that are easier to write, whatever you write must be explained further, otherwise it will not be counted. The response is written in capital letters. You must use the sentence case while typing onto the screen. And finally, no response given. If you omit the entire essay, you will receive 0. Now let's look at the plan of the essay. First, Brainstorming. This is the most important part of the essay. Any PTE trainer will tell you this. If you don't know what to write, then you will never understand how to go about doing it. So first and foremost, the moment you see your topic on screen, use your erasable notebook booklet, or if you're practicing, use a rough notebook to immediately start brainstorming. That basically means generating ideas. Pick out important words or keywords from the topic given, list them down, then see how you can give proper reasons or justification. Think of examples, identify other keywords if you feel that you are not getting enough to brainstorm. Next, structure the paragraphs. When you're structuring your paragraph, you must think which point you're going to start with, which point you're going to end with, what kind of examples you're going to use, because examples are a must. You must give at least one example for one reason or justification. Now the next important bit, write in paragraphs. You will be given 4 to 5 paragraphs. All of them are supposed to have individual ideas which are connected with the help of proper conjunctions and linking phrases. This will basically determine the coherence. Once you're done, make sure you are coherent. Do not go off topic. This is extremely important. If you go off topic, or if you start with one particular keyword or phrase and then you start only explaining about that without actually connecting that to the other ideas, you will lose out on your scores. The other thing is, don't give too many examples. Examples are separate. Reasons and justifications are separate. You don't combine the two. Most of the time, students put examples as a reason or justification without really elaborating much. It will not really give you a score. Again, the most important bit, do not repeat or rephrase any argument. The moment you do this, it basically means that you do not have enough content, you have not done your brainstorming properly, and there is nothing new about it. So you will lose out again on your development, coherence and structure of the essay. Here is a sample of this essay type. As you can see, your instruction has been given at the beginning. It says you will have 20 minutes to plan, write and revise an essay about a topic below. Your response will be judged on how well you develop a position, organize your ideas, present supporting details, and the standard elements of standard written English. You should write 200 to 300 words. Here's your topic. Some experts believe that it is better for children to begin learning a foreign language at primary school rather than secondary school. Do the advantages of this outweigh the disadvantages? Let us begin with paragraph 1. This is your introductory paragraph. The introductory paragraph often consists of the background statement, which is taken from the topic itself. This is followed by a thesis statement and transitional sentence. In some cases, the thesis statement could be separate and the transitional sentence could be separate. In other cases, they could be combined. Let us look at the first. This is your background statement, which states that for centuries, children have been opting to study foreign languages at different phases in their education, some even believing that it could be constructive for them later. So this has got all the elements of the topic. You have your main subject. As you can see, it has got all the elements, all the main components mentioned in the topic. First is children, which are basically the target audience here. The writer has included the words study foreign languages, different phases in education. Now, as I mentioned earlier, vocabulary is extremely important. If you have good vocabulary, if you can rephrase it properly using proper sentence structures and connecting phrases, then you can really do a good job. One thing I would always like to stress on, and that is students must aim to write a good introduction. If your introduction is incomplete or it starts randomly, it doesn't have all of the points, then you will lose score in coherence as well as development and structure. So make sure that you are using all of those elements here. And when you're ending a sentence, make sure it ends on a point where, when reading, the examiner should feel, okay, what comes next? Now, if you read further, you will notice the thesis statement and the transitional sentence. It says, this is both advantages and disadvantages, yet I believe that there are more positive aspects which take precedence over drawbacks. Instead of just keeping it very basic and saying, I believe there are more positive aspects compared to negative aspects and things like that, you could use the word takes precedence, which basically means which has a higher ground or which is more important compared to the other one. So you will get a better score in your vocabulary. Now let's move on to the next paragraph. Now this is your paragraph 2 and the structure for it. This is your first supporting paragraph. The first supporting paragraph in this particular case is divided further into 4 bits. You've got your topic sentence, then you have the explanation of the stronger opinion, then example 1 and example 2. You can also give just one example. It is not necessary that you have to give 2 examples, but you must bear in mind the word limit that you have been suggested to write between, which is 200 to 300 words. So if we proceed further, you can see youngsters are more prone to imitating, learning and applying languages. Now, the word youngsters again is your target audience, the people you are talking about, which is clearly mentioned in your topic sentence, in your essay topic. What is the result and what are the actions that are mentioned here? Prone to. This basically means have a tendency towards something or naturally take at something and do it. So imitating, learning and applying languages are the 3 points that have been highlighted here. Now, of course, you need to explain this further. So if you look at the next explanation, what is said is that younger learners can absorb and remember more information since their minds are fueled by curiosity and many physiological changes. Okay, so fueled by curiosity could be a good expression or phrase to use instead of just saying that they are naturally curious because they are young. Okay, so remember here we had mentioned imitating, learning, applying. That point has been further discussed and further elaborated by saying can absorb and remember information. So what happens as a result of imitating, learning? They can absorb and remember. And why can they do this? Because their minds are fueled by curiosity and physiological changes. Now again, you naturally have to justify this explanation. So the first example talks about studies in psychology, where it says that it's easier for children to learn languages as compared to adolescents. This is example 1. Similarly, your example 2 talks about schools that have made a shift and introduced interdisciplinary learning. By doing what? By combining foreign languages with other subjects and providing flexibility in the learning system. So you see how this sentence is a complex sentence. Using, first and foremost, the writer is mentioning what the example is and what is one of the places where you find learning and imitating. So they have taken up the idea of school and talking about how school functions. Why? Let's go back to the topic sentence. What did we say? Prone to imitating, learning and applying languages. This sentence, introducing disciplinary learning by combining foreign language with other subjects, again, gives you what? Gives you the idea that, okay, youngsters learn all of this at school. Again, further it is explained, providing flexibility in the learning system. Okay, so you have your main subject, you have the verbs combining it. At the same time, you've got what is the result of that particular action that is taking place. So this is how sentences are written. This is how ideas are connected. This is coherence. Now let us look at the next paragraph. You've got paragraph 3. The structure for paragraph 3 is explained. This is your second supporting paragraph. Once again, you've got your topic sentence. You've got your explanation, this time of the weaker opinion, and an example for that particular opinion. Now your topic sentence once again talks about the main point of this particular paragraph, which is the disadvantage. And what is the disadvantage? That has been elaborated in the next paragraph. Two reasons are given here. One is lack of infrastructure or certified teachers. What is the result of this? Learning may be at risk. So, further elaborating, the writer says that schools will have to appoint a separate faculty specializing in the subject. Yet, the challenge, remember it says that certain disadvantages that prove challenging to learners, young learners. What is the challenge? Some schools might not be able to afford this. And what happens as a result of this? Children miss out on opportunities. So this is how your topic sentence is broken down into several parts. Now of course you have to justify this as well. So what do? Read further. This could demotivate younger students and give them a negative experience in language learning. In this case, students would not only lose their progress, but they would also be demotivated due to lack of consistency throughout their educational careers. So further explaining what happens and examples of what happens when this particular disadvantage is at its height. Now let's look at paragraph 4. This is your conclusion. In the conclusion, you basically have to summarize the information. The conclusion is the tying up together of loose ends, bringing together all of your ideas, and finally expressing the message that you're trying to deliver. In this case, the writer says, in conclusion, I would say that despite the fact that there are a few disadvantages regarding the study of a foreign language in the primary schools, there are more advantages that outweigh the drawbacks. This basically means that the writer believes there are more advantages compared to the drawbacks or disadvantages. Now, in the conclusion, one thing people often miss is a suggestion or prediction. What they do instead is use an example. You must never give an example in your conclusion. Here, you can just give a suggestion or further action by saying children should be molded like clay to take the form that is the most exquisite and unique. This basically means that there is a lot more to be done. And using these advantages, this can be done. So that is a nice, tidy summing up of your entire essay. So here you have got your essay practices. 2 topics have been given to you. The first one talks about the freedom to work and live anywhere, and that has become the main trend due to the development of technology, communication, transportation. Do these advantages outweigh the disadvantages? The second one talks about modernism and the result of the inventions. Again, you are asked what the advantages and disadvantages are of living in such an era where you can see new things being constantly invented. Remember, pick out the keywords, list down your points, and only then develop the structure. Once you do that, then you can start writing. Let us look at some strategies to do the essay writing correctly. You can use this in your essay practice. First, analyze the task thoroughly. Identify the keywords. This again will be found in your topic itself. Write them down. Try to brainstorm. A certain specific aspects of the topic. There might be certain topics where you are asked to only give a certain type of opinion, so be very careful. Understand the prompt very clearly. To do the brainstorming and to generate ideas and develop your structure, you can use the erasable noteboard booklet. You can make notes here. You can outline those notes and you can use those outline notes to actually present your thoughts and ideas. Make sure that when you are writing down your thoughts and ideas, you are also including relevant examples so that when you are typing the actual task, you don't actually look or think and waste time as to what example would be perfect for any particular point that you've given. Most importantly, ensure that you are covering all aspects of the question. Your essay should be properly organized. By organization, I mean proper paragraphing structure. Under each paragraph, the kind of sentences that are to be used, and make sure that those sentences are properly connected to each other. Once the 20 minutes are up, the screen will stop responding. So make sure that you keep your eye on the time. Timing is very important in PTE. There are often some common errors that students make while doing the essay writing, and they are: 1. Not understanding the topic. Now, as I mentioned earlier, break down your topic completely, take down points, If you don't do that, you will completely go off topic. Sometimes students pick up one particular word and just harp on and on about that particular idea and forget about the rest. You will lose your points in structure and coherence. Next, not being able to identify or elaborate ideas. At times, students get stuck on one particular idea and they don't know how this idea is prevalent in other aspects or scenarios, and therefore they get stuck and they cannot move ahead. Next, at times in their enthusiasm to prove their point, students often use irrelevant points and examples, and that again will cause you to lose your score. You must never use casual or informal language in the essay writing test, any essay writing test, and more so in the PTE essay writing test. Language like hey, hi, what's up, these kind of words must be completely avoided. Next, using incorrect grammatical structures. This basically means not writing proper sentences and most importantly not following the subject plus verb agreement. Next, making spelling errors. This is the most common error. Even the best of people sometimes falter. It could be something very simple as THEIR being written as THIER, or receive and receive. Simple words where it is easily interchangeable. So make sure that this particular thing is not there. Using incorrect punctuation. Some students tend to use hyphens or semicolons without thinking. So that will again pose another problem. That is a major grammatical error that you must avoid. Writing abbreviations or contracted forms. This again is an issue. If you write GOVT dot instead of the whole word government, you will be penalized. If you write can't, CAN apostrophe T, instead of writing cannot or don't, these words are contracted forms of words. If you write them, you will definitely be penalized. You will lose scores. Again, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of grammatical structures, not maintaining the subject-verb agreement. For example, he like me instead of saying he likes me. Or she go there instead of saying she goes there. These are minor errors when you're listening, but actually they are major errors when it comes to scoring. Also, not using proper coordinating conjunctions or linking phrases to connect ideas. A lot of times and goes missing, or however, although, but. These are all coordinating conjunctions and linking phrases that connect your sentences and bring out the proper meaning, whether it is a contrasting meaning or it is a meaning that indicates including ideas. These are some basic things and basic areas where you can lose scores of marks, and these are some common errors that students must definitely correct. Now here are some tips that you can use while doing the preparation for the test, and they are: number one, build your vocabulary. Writing is all about grammar and vocabulary. If you manage to sharpen those skills, then you can write on any topic under the sun. Next, like I said, hone your grammar skills. This means everything from tenses to articles, prepositions, nouns, adjectives, adverbs, everything must be in the correct form. Third and very important, master the sentence formation. Again, students often tend to write or miss out on simple words or coordinating conjunctions and things like that. And is gone missing, or the or is gone missing. That affects the entire sentence formation. So work on your sentence formation and structure. In order to write better and remember better, in case you get any kind of topic, in case you're not familiar, it's always good to identify some functional words and phrases used on a regular basis and learn them up. Every time you write, see how you can include them in your writing. Next, read. Read voraciously. Read books, read magazines, read newspapers. All of these things will definitely enhance your vocabulary. You can always start off with short novels or short stories, or pick up something that is within your comfort zone and start to expand. Pick out words and phrases from there, take a note of them, Check the dictionary, see in what context they are used. Practice verbs, tenses, adjectives, prepositions, pronouns, and conjunctions. These are very common and very basic grammar requirements, and often people falter if they miss out on any one of them. Practice linking phrases that denote how to introduce or conclude an idea, like I would like to begin with, or in conclusion, introduce or begin an idea. Next, highlight differences or similarities. Here you can talk about similarly, or use words like that, similarly. If you're highlighting any differences, you could say in contrast or opposite to what has been said or as opposed to. If you're talking about a continuity or change in a topic, again, continuity, you could say that eventually, gradually, further. If you're talking about a change, then you can mention phrases like there was a transformation, or a slight change was detected, or there was a noticeable improvement. These kind of words and phrases will definitely give you an edge in terms of vocabulary. Next, practice within the word and time limit. PTE is completely timed, especially essay writing. In 20 minutes, you have to do so much. So make sure you practice within the word and time limit. You can always start off by writing on topics that you feel comfortable with, but then gradually expand to different subjects, because you never know what is coming for the test. When doing so, again, make sure you use correct punctuation and spelling. Learn the usage of full stops, exclamation marks, question marks, especially colon, semicolon, hyphen, etc. Students are often found using ellipses. Ellipses are nothing but 3 dots that you put. That indicates that there's something else that comes after that particular sentence. But if you do that in the middle of the test, this will affect your entire presentation. So be very careful. Once more, practice writing with coherence. That is basically connecting your ideas properly, and ensure that you conclude properly. A good essay always begins with a good introduction and ends with a good conclusion. That is the end of this particular explanation. All the best with your essay practice.